As far as we are concerned, the tax reform bills are alive in this hollow chamber.
From your explanation, it will appear that Arise Television was totally misled into thinking that the bills were suspended or withdrawn by the Senate. Because I watched that news when the governor of Nasarawa was asked, now that the bills have been withdrawn, are you happy? The National Assembly, we were all elected to do our work, and that is the work of lawmaking in the overall interest of Nigerians. We do not do our work through social media.
Welcome to my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Over here, we'll bring you the news on entertainment, sports, international, and local news. Let's continue the video.
We just passed our votes and proceedings. We have just passed our votes and proceedings, which is a reflection of our deliberations of the previous legislative day, being yesterday. Nowhere in our votes and proceedings was it stated that we suspended further deliberations on the tax reform bill, because we did not. And I felt it would be important to place on record that this Senate did not suspend
or withdraw.
I will address that later, sir. This Senate did not suspend and does not intend to suspend deliberations, consideration of the tax reform bills. As to withdraw, Mr. President, this is simply my response. It was a misunderstanding of legislative process for anybody to have even reported that we had withdrawn the bills. The bills were executive bills transmitted to us by the executive arm of government through the office of Mr. President. It's only the executive arm that can withdraw these bills. They are not private member bills sponsored by any senator. So no senator is going to withdraw the bill. And there is no reason for these bills to be withdrawn. In the legislative process, it is normal that some people will have concern. It is normal that people will sit around those concerns and discuss. Any attempt from any quarter to intimidate the parliament will be undemocratic. And we will not allow ourselves to be distracted. But we will encourage consensus, we will encourage discussions, engagement at all levels. But we cannot be bullied into adopting a certain procedure. As far as we are concerned, the tax reform bills are alive in this hollow chamber.
From your explanation, it will appear that Arise Television was totally misled into thinking that the bills were suspended or withdrawn by the Senate. Because I watched that news when the governor of Nasarawa was asked, now that the bills have been withdrawn, are you happy? The National Assembly, we were all elected to do our work, and that is the work of lawmaking in the overall interest of Nigerians. We do not do our work through social media, neither do we do it through any committee or congregation of the church or of any forum or of any nature. We do our work according to our conscience in the best interest of Nigerians. Point of order, clearly explaining that the bills are alive, have not been suspended, the actions have not been suspended, the bills have not been withdrawn, and the bills have passed second reading in the Senate, and further legislative actions are taking place, including the setting up of this other committee. All those points are hereby sustained.
First of all, I will start my intervention by thanking Mr. Sheun for inviting me to participate in this town hall. Before now, I thought that we have flurry of experts, both in leadership positions and in the National Assembly, so issues of taxation shouldn't be this complex and and obfuscating to a point where we will be stuck in a binge-watching rut that we're presently under. So when I got that invitation, I did tell him, I'm not going to participate. I need to see the bills myself, because I want to be 100% convinced of what I will say. So they quickly dispatched the bills to me, and I have them there. I have studied these bills, the two most important bills. The other two are establishment bills. And I don't intend to speak to the details because we have heard from Mr. Taiwo, who chaired the committee that produced this wonderful piece of legislation that's before the National Assembly. I've been in the National Assembly for 16 years, and I must say that I've seen very few bills that can be compared to the bills they produce in terms of quality, the originality of thought, and in terms of effect that will have on our larger economic ecosystem. Having done that, I still, as a representative that I am, I thought that it's not even good enough for me to just come here and present my opinion. So I summoned some of my brothers, leaders in their own right, across all sectors, most of them, almost all of them northerners like me, to say, come, let's look at this thing dispassionately. What is the problem? What are people complaining about? And honestly speaking, I don't begrudge noise in a democracy. As a matter of fact, the more noise your democracy generates, the more functional it is. The only problem it is, if you allow the noise to degenerate into violence, that is where you have a problem. And then we sit down and look at some of these major objections that are coming from across some of our leaders in the north and some of our brothers. So I won't say I'm an expert. I'm here as a student. I want to learn. But because I've studied this, nothing precludes me from saying my opinion. As a matter of fact, the moment they announced, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, that I'll be participating in this discussion, my phone almost broke. So many pleaded with me. That was why I knew how important this is. Some were even pleading with me not to even show up. I said, no, but that's not leadership. Even if I disagree, I should go there and tell them that I disagree. So let's look at some of these objections that have been raised. I will address the question of leadership. And my appeal to all of us here, we are all leaders. We should remove the cap of regionalism, the cap of sectionalism, cap of religion, and put on the cap of leadership. Because that is what will resolve the current problems that we have. I think one of the major objections relates to issue of timing. I've had this even from leaders that I respect. But in leadership, when you talk about timing, the way I have heard them talk about is a tragic misconception of the notion of time itself. Because there's nothing like future, there's nothing like the past. All we have is now, now, now. It is what you are doing now that will become your past. It is what you're doing now that will affect your future. It was Dr. King who told us that time is neutral. And without creative use of time, time itself becomes an ally of the primitive forces of social stagnation. So the answer he gave was to say that the time is always ripe to do right. So the question before us as leaders is not to look at what the president is doing, what our leader here, Taiwan's committee have produced. I I don't even care if it was part of the president's agenda. All I am bothered with as a leader is it the right thing? Then if we come to the conclusion that it is the right thing for us to do, then the time to do it is now, not tomorrow. So I will resolve that issue the way I have resolved it. Secondly, I've heard about insufficient consultation. I've heard even legislators speaking as if they are spokesperson for some governors forum or some others, instead of looking at what is right and providing solutions. Now, I don't know, he didn't address some of these issues, but I believe in the course of our interface, he will address them, whether there was enough consultation with the governors. But I want to say this, at the state level, how many people do governors consult when they are making laws? I'm not challenging them. As a matter of fact, in some cases, laws, state laws, are written from the living rooms of governors. But the truth is, we were warned long ago by Shakespeare in his famous work, Pericles, the Prince of Tyre. He said, few are those who like to hear about the sin they love to act. So, should we now stop because governors have not been brought on board, even though it is the right thing to do? Should that be an excuse, really? The answer to my mind is no. Then they talk about popularity. Oh, the bill is not popular. I want to tell this audience that what has defined us as humans, what has given us superiority as humans, most of them were not popular. Talk about the discovery of controlled fire from Homo erectus. That is what distinguishes us as human and conferred on us superiority over all other creations. But before the discovery of fire, human being was number 6 on the food chain. If you had made an elephant, not an elephant, a lion with a prey, would you dare go near it? So chances were that before fire was discovered, when a lion kills its prey, it will let go. Even hyenas will come and eat. Jackals will come and feed on them. As a human being, if you had run across baboons, you will run away. But it was fire that gave us the power to scare them away. Everything that we have here is on account of controlled fire. That is what conferred on us superiority. But if you go back to history, student of history will tell you that the idea itself of fire wasn't popular. That is the point I'm driving at. In mythology, it was said it was even one of the gods that rebelled against the Olympian gods and handed fire to man. It was out of rebellion. But now we exercise dominion based on that. Look at J.F. Kennedy, for instance. The idea to land the man on the moon wasn't popular in the US. If I was born and had listened to people like my hero, Martin Luther King Jr., I would have opposed it. Because he clearly told him, why bother spending $20 billion sending the man to the moon while you can use this money to put God's creation, man, on his 2 feet? These were moral arguments. But if JFK were alive today, to see what that 20 billion he invested in putting man on the moon has done for us. Even some of these communications, some people are using internet. It's on account of the satellites that are there. But it wasn't a popular decision. Time will fail me to mention about Galileo, for instance. He died in detention for proposing that the earth was round, as against the church's teaching then that the earth was flat. But until much later, even after his death, that they discovered that he was actually right. So leaders that will make impact bother about doing what is right. If it is popular, excellent. If it is not popular, just do what is right. I move to the third objection. They have spoken about increment in VAT. I believe we will be challenged about that. Well, I don't want to say that Taiwo is perfect. I don't want to say that the president who has transmitted this bill to the National Assembly is perfect. Because perfection is an attribute of God. And no human being was ever built to receive worship. Once you begin to ascribe perfection to a human being, you are setting him up for destruction. So I agree that as lofty as the ideas are, as wonderful as the provisions of these bills are, the way he has illuminated them here, there may still be problems. There may still be problems with the bill. And of course, some have pointed it out. They don't want VAT to be raised progressively to 15%. That, of course, can be discussed. If we put on the cap of leadership, we can discuss that. It shouldn't be that because of that, the bill cannot pass. One, they have talked about the distribution formula, which is the major thing orchestrating all the crimes, especially in our region here in the north. I'm a northerner. As long as you are attributing this to the locations where these goods are consumed and not where the headquarters of the companies producing these goods are located, I'm 100% for it. You know why? Because whether we like it or not, the discussion about economic justice will not end today. So we as Northerners, we should better embrace this opportunity to create wealth, to build our people so that we can generate wealth and ensure prosperity for our people. I know that it is difficult, but it was what John Huntsman Senior reminded us, that humans have seldom created anything of lasting value if they were not tired or hurting. So if this will get us tired as Northerners to begin to do something else and not look up onto government, if this thing can get us hurting to begin to look inwards so that we can generate wealth. After all, our fathers did it. The granite pyramids, the cotton ginneries, the multiplicity of cows, herds of cows that we have.
All right.
At a point, federal government was even borrowing money from northern region. Why can't we repeat this? And lastly, there are so many other issues. So they have said, okay, the word derivation is not defined in the Act. I said, okay, if that's the case, you have a legitimate argument. Let's define it. But it shouldn't stop work on these bills before the National Assembly. And lastly, I want to talk to my brothers in the North. I don't think this is the time for us to begin to condemn the president and to begin to say that on account of these bills, he's anti-North. Because I want to remind us that the president has done something that is significant. And in my lifetime, if he can pursue this to the end, it will be that there's no northern leader of my lifetime that has done what the president has done for the North. And I will tell you, it's the creation of the livestock ministry. This is the global business around that. The global market size of dairies, of beef. In the next 3 years, will rise to about $2.5 trillion. You can Google it. So if in the North we're able to organize ourselves in such a way that we can corner just 5% of this global market size of dairies and beef, I tell you, That gives us $250 billion. We don't need VAT from any state in Nigeria to survive. The North can survive for this job. We are the most endowed part of Nigeria. And don't joke about it. If you doubt, find out from Australia how much they are raking from just mining minerals. There's gold everywhere in the North. We have all the resources. We can survive. Thank you, and God bless you.
Let me tell you, I'm a strong member of APC. If you can count 2 governors between 2019 to 2023 that were in support of Tinubu, you can mention Professor Zulum. I was the first governor to come out publicly and say that power must go to South. This is the misconception that is ongoing. Unfortunately, the president was told by many that the North are against him. Is that a fact? No, it's not a fact. 60.2% of his vote came from North. Are you getting what I'm saying? On this tax issue, there's a lot of misconception. During the NEC, we had the NEC, and we advised federal government to force for a moment in order to have deeper consultations with stakeholders. That was our own statement. Then later on, people have turned it upside down. But I want you to believe that consultation is central to democracy. This beggars belief that in a democratic setting, we are begging for the right to consult or to be consulted. This is only what has happened. We haven't said anything, but we felt that the provision, VAT provision in the tax law, which clearly stated that VAT allocation should be based on derivation. The proposed bill further stated that 60% of the VAT tax will be shared based on derivation. So I'm not an economist, but based on the calculations that we did, only Lagos State and Rivers State will benefit from this scheme.
Is that a fact? Because I mean, reading through the document and the bills.
Let me finish what I'm saying. However, we have had series of consultations with the FRS team. I had a meeting with discussions with the governor of Lagos State. Lagos State governor told me that, look, Prof, Lagos will lose a lot if this is implemented. While we did our own research and then concluded that we would lose. Then the matter of the fact is that why are we in rush? We advise the federal government to take a force, to expunge some of the clauses in the tax bill that are inimical to the growth and development of not only northern Nigeria, Southeast will be severely affected. South will be severely affected. Even in the Southwest, only Lagos will benefit from this scheme, to our own observation. However, be it as it may be, they said, no, this is not right. But what we are telling them is that give us time. Why are we in rush? Let us force, and then let us do deeper consultation because we are in democracy. So that we should understand the nitty-gritty of this tax regime before passing it to law. This is our bone of contention.
Thank you for watching. I appreciate your support. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more exciting videos. I can't wait to see you back here again. Bye-bye.